Hello, everyone. This is James Nussbaumer, and I am the author of The Master of Everything, a story of mankind in the world of illusion we call life. On sale everywhere books are sold by Ozark Mountain Publishing Company, and it's the publishing company of Dolores Cannon. Let me explain. While I was in prison, I had gotten handwritten letters from Dolores Cannon of Ozark Mountain, the late Dolores Cannon. And one of the questions before she secured a contract with me, with their publishing company, Ozark Mountain, she wanted to know, why didn't I run into A Course in Miracles sooner? Which is, everyone knows that I'm fond of, and my writings are based on the principles of A Course in Miracles. And I wrote Dolores back, and the only thing I could say, and it was among, many other questions I've also gotten on Facebook the same way, and then I've asked myself the same thing through my own psyche, just beginning, I was thinking back when I was facing the snarling dog teeth of 10-year prison term. Why didn't I find A Course in Miracles sooner? That's what Dolores Cannon had asked me. And while I was in prison, and I wrote her back, and it took time to contemplate that, a long drawn out letter that I was trying to put together. And really, didn't need a long drawn out letter. Why was it I never ran into A Course in Miracles sooner? But since then, and what I had sent on to Dolores, I found the simple answer to that question, which I easily accept. And it was very simple. There was just a few short, sweet words that I sent off to Dolores to let her know why I never ran into A Course in Miracles sooner. It's because I was not ready. It's that simple. Let me read something to you here real quick out of my book, The Master of Everything. And A Course in Miracles, in my book, we talk about ridding the ego, and so you can go on to redirect the power, redirect the errors that you're making, and use that same power to turn into positive results. But I say here in chapter 27, this is why the ego's plan is always seek but do not find, thus assuring us we will never find the life we are seeking. With all the talk about salvation, do we really know what it is we're trying to be saved from? See, we run around thinking that we're trying to figure this out, figure that out, but with ego-based thought. And so that's why my letter off to Dolores was, I guess the only thing I can say is I just wasn't ready. And that's why the Course didn't show up to me until I was ready. But the Course was destined. And I call A Course in Miracles the Course. It was destined to show up in my life when I was ready, when the time was right. I immediately began to realize answers I'd been looking for, and thought I was being pointed in the right direction with all I would encounter during my days while I was in prison. 8 long, grueling years, and I mean it was really grueling years in a state penitentiary. Since this book right here, since this book was written, and the Course in Miracles that I found in the prison library, if anyone knows my story and read the book had never been checked out of the library. A Course in Miracles is what I'm talking about there. So not to confuse you with my book, because it wasn't published yet, but the Course in Miracles had never been checked out of the library in 2 years that it sat there in that prison. Not ever by anyone. And then when I arrived to prison, at that place, all of a sudden, there it is, a battered, yellow-stained, and just battered up book. It fell off the shelf and landed on my foot in the library, and there it was. And and the note inside said it came from a woman in Sedona, Arizona. But since I didn't own that book and I had checked it out of the library, I decided at first to quickly read it cover to cover. Was the first thing I wanted to do without missing a word, regardless of all that I did not understand in the deep psychological content of A Course in Miracles. After all, I was in prison and I was facing a 10-year sentence, and I had plenty of time to do just that. Although back then, I didn't know that I was going to be released after 8 years. Actually, I was hoping I would have been released a lot sooner than that, but that never came around till year 8. But I knew I would need to have my own personal copy eventually of A Course in Miracles, because I'd already accepted it as my life and a commitment that I wanted. I was not even aware if the book was still in print or available in stores, because in prison we have no computer access whatsoever. I needed to find out, and as a prisoner, like I said, we have zero computer access and limited telephone use. I initially thought of writing my longtime friend Ron, who had stuck by me and would come forward and when I was sent to prison, to offer his help and from the outside in any fashion that he could. But we kept in touch through regular U.S. mail. I thought that maybe Ron could find me a copy of A Course in Miracles somewhere. But there was one snag, and as a prisoner and due to the rules and regulations, because of drug smuggling and all the other kind of things that go on in prison, I was only permitted to receive a brand new books that were shipped directly from a publisher or from a book outlet such as Amazon or whatever, shipped to me directly from that vendor. But so I decided to hold off for now on notifying Ron. In fact, I never did mention it to him at all about A Course in Miracles, because I just decided that I didn't want him to think that I had gone overboard with my emotions and fallen for some save the day self-help book. The timing was right, and it was right for me, but it wasn't right for me to explain to Ron about how excited I was with A Course in Miracles. And it was something was urging me to see it this way. It was something inside of me was urging me, until I got deeper involved in it and really understood what it was about. Even though I already committed it was going to be my lifelong process for me, I still, at that time, in my early stages, I decided that I just needed to keep it within myself and not share this with anybody for the time being. As I describe in pretty much gory detail in this book, The Master of Everything, most people don't realize the importance to prisoners of an outside support system such as I had with my good friend Ron. And Ron and I continually, and I continually thank Ron for all his efforts in helping me. And he was writing me consistently each week, as a matter of fact, and our relationship as friends had grown strong. Ron had visited me often as he could, even though he lives in Florida and I was in an Ohio prison. Ron had told me that it gave him an excuse to check in on his 82-year-old mother who lived in Ohio, close by to the prison where I was at. And one day I really will repay Ron in a special way. But I guess the answer to, why didn't I run into A Course in Miracles sooner? I guess I already stated that. I just wasn't ready. It found me when it knew that I was ready. Here's to miracles in your life. And I hope this made sense to you. And I tried to keep it a little twisty, just for your own way of thinking and understanding how everything happens for a reason. Thanks for listening to me, and God bless.